you say.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting?
I had one minor correction to the minutes, but other than that, I move to approve as amended. It was just a typo. It was just a typo.
Okay. Can you let Lila know what it was?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay, it's been approved by Amanda and second by Cale. All in favor? Minutes approved. Consent agenda. We need permission for clerk to pay insurance at time of billing, to pay utilities at time of billing, to pay utility incentives before the 25th of the month, to pay theater bills when due, and to pay payment service network bills when due. Moved by Dara. Second by Larry. All in favor? Approved. Sheriff's report. Cody's not here.
But he wasn't, yeah, I visited with him today. He wasn't going to make it.
No, he wasn't going to be here. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to new business then. The Northwest Kansas Planning and Development Grant opportunity. What do we have on that?
We have Justine on the line. I'll let her join her here to talk. There's some documents out on the share. Scott, you probably don't have it. I'll have to send it to you. But it's just some information about a new grant opportunity. So I'll turn it over to Justine. Let me unmute her here.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Justine.
Hi. Yes, the state of Kansas, our governor just released a press today that a new grant opportunity came out due to the coronavirus. So any city or county is eligible. There's two portions of this grant. There is pure business grants, which is pretty unheard of to give a business in your city or county a full grant that they do not have to pay back. And then the second portion of it is for food. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the food. You can apply for $100,000 for anything that we can relate to coronavirus. Pretty much anything right now we can relate to coronavirus due to people being laid off from jobs, not working, and in need. I visited with Lila a little bit about potentially your food pantry and how they're needing somewhere else to go. So I did question the state, and we can use potentially that $100,000 towards rent if they find a new location. We can use it towards food, and we can use it towards salaries of people that are running it. So that's pretty great opportunity. For that opportunity, your city does have to be low to moderate income. Since this would be your last year, last year was your last time that you could use your LMI survey, they have extended that just due to all this craziness going on. So you do qualify for that, which is awesome. And then moving on to the business side, you can apply for $300,000. And this, you have to apply as the city, but then you can pretty much give out grants as a city to any of your businesses that could potentially have been impacted due to the coronavirus. So that could be any restaurants, potentially grocery store that, ran out of supplies, hairdressers, any hotels, anything like that. There's no matching funds required for this. The city would have to kind of come up with a plan how you would have to do this. So you would most likely want to do it first come, first serve basis. So I would help you come up with an application. We're going to have a public hearing for this, and then you would let all your citizens know, hey, this is what you can do. Now, how much money they can get, kind of, you guys can set the tone, say you want to give each business $10,000. You could do that. Or we have maximum. If you have a business between 1 to 5 employees, they can get $25,000 per employee up to $30,000. So potentially only $30,000 they could get. If you have 6 to 50 employees, they could get up to $50,000 to kind of jumpstart your business. The cool thing about this program that they just kind of came out with is we can go back and reimburse businesses since March 1, 2020. And so I know that'll help a lot. Let me pull my notes here. It is first come, first serve, the whole application here. So if you are interested, the application comes out tomorrow at 1 p.m., but I would suggest we start moving fast so we can get the funds. There's no really competition. It's just first come, first serve. They're talking about time frame being about once you submit it, and if there's no errors or no questions they have, 1 week. So in 1 week, you would find out if you were awarded and then get all the funds. Since this is kind of an emergency type of grant opportunity, nothing has to be mailed in, no type of long paperwork like how we're doing with the street project. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be pretty quick. They want all these funds spent within a 12-month period. So in 12 months, we'll be completely done with this grant, hopefully. The last thing that I have here is, I didn't mention, but the businesses do have to qualify LMI. So 51% of your employees have to be LMI. Now, my only question on that, which I haven't got answered by the state, is potentially if a hairdresser's, above your moderate income during that time while she wasn't working, can we count, during that portion of zero income, if that would qualify them as low to moderate income, same with restaurants or anything like that. So I don't have the answer to that. Tomorrow on the state website, there's supposed to be a huge frequently asked questions, and we'll find out more. But I just talked to Lila, and I wanted to give this opportunity to you guys, especially since you have a survey and could potentially qualify, and it'd be a good service for you. I know out here in Western Kansas, we haven't seen a lot of the coronavirus cases, and we haven't been hurt as much as like the Kansas City area, but this is our tax dollars kind of being returned to your city, and we don't know how bad that potentially this coronavirus could get. So we are kind of encouraging all of our cities and counties to apply because it is a great program, and it's nice to get grant dollars out in Western Kansas. So do you guys have any questions or anything that I could potentially help you with?
Does anybody have any questions? I think it sounds really good, and I would have to say it is hurting us just as bad as it is Kansas City. Yeah. Business-wise. And on the business side of it, because there's a lot of these small businesses here in town that are struggling big time, along with the big ones and stuff. So I think it's just important out here as it is anywhere. So.
Great.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question regarding the LMI for the 51% of the employees. Obviously, that's something we want to make known to the public, and I don't know, is that something, a figure that you have? Is it somewhere on the Kansas Department of Labor website? How would they know whether or not, how would a business know whether or not 51% of its employees meet that threshold? Or where is something that we could find so that we can let them know?
Yes, of course. So that is on the Kansas Department of Commerce website. The income limits that, this has been a while ago, but that you did for the survey, those are, they've updated them, but those are the limits we're looking at. So, for example, I'm just going to give you numbers that I have here. For one person in Cheyenne County, the lowest income that you could still make and qualify would be if you make $22,650, you're considered low income for a one-person family. And I'll send Lila these incomes. The cool thing about this program, which I guess I shouldn't say cool, but your business owner, they're going to give this form out to their employees. The employee is going to self-certify what they get. We are not going to go in there and ask for their income and their tax returns and all that. They just self-certify. Because, you know, a lot of times when you do ask someone, what's your income, they're not very likely to give that to you. So that kind of helps the process. But I do have a chart here that I will send out to you guys for all those income limits.
Any other questions? Well, I think we might as well go forward with this. I think everybody agrees with that, don't you? Yeah, everybody agrees on the council to go ahead and go forward with this. So whatever we have to start doing tomorrow, let's get it rolling.
Okay, yeah, I have you guys on my list. I will read the application tomorrow. I'm not sure how depth they're going to ask for narratives. You guys are very lucky since we just did the street grant, so I have a ton of information for you. We do write these grants for free since your county is a member of our organization. There is some administration on this that we can help you pretty much go through the whole grant process. So we'll help you with all those income information that I was talking about for the businesses, and I will help you create a rubric of how you're going to, you know, pass out the funds and stuff. So we can get, as administrators, potentially $15,000 from that grant. So if you apply for the full 400, we could potentially get 15. As we get more in depth, I can talk to you guys more about that. It's 15,000 or 10%, whatever's less of the two. So I would ask just if you could take that into consideration to help our office too, as we've kind of been hit with the same, you know, not very many people want to do projects right now because you're not sure about income in the future and what's going on. But we can talk about that later, and we can bring contracts later. For right now, I will focus on getting you on there, and I will get narratives from Lila and get you guys going, okay?
Okay, sounds great.
All right. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk and tell you about this program, and I'm glad that you guys will be using it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's good news.
Surprising.
I didn't expect anything like
How
that
many
to happen.
businesses do we have in town? What, we have an idea?
What's that?
How many businesses we have in town?
Well, there's more than you think when you
Yeah.
start adding them up and stuff, and I would think most of them will qualify.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of the small ones will qualify, so there might be 2 or 3 that wouldn't, but the rest of them will. So, okay, well, let's move on to the next item, and it's on that company, that Granite, that Al again. Is he going to be on the phone too?
So no, he did send me a quote, and I got it this afternoon. And once we got to looking at the quote, the bill that I was able to send to him still had the police department on it. So the quote that they had prepared was not accurate because of that. It was using numbers that were moving forward are not going to be correct. So I asked him I sent him the latest bill that no longer has the police department on it. And they're going to go back and create another quote and send it to us. I still think it'll probably be cost saving. If you look at what they did send, it's out there on the share. Scott, I can send it to you if you want to look at it. It does look like they could save us some money, and I believe that they probably still will be able to save us money, but we don't know exactly how much until they have accurate data to work with from the next tech bill. So we're kind of in limbo until the next meeting.
Okay, well, we'll just wait until the next meeting and see what they come up with then. Okay, sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, next is the HPPR proclamation.
Do you want me to talk about that, Scott?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you'll see out there on the share the letter that we got from High Plains Public Radio. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary of serving the High Plains Public Radio, and they're asking for the communities that they have translators in to support them with the proclamation and declaring June 27th as High Plains Public Radio Day. And it's just a mayor's proclamation that I have a copy back there for Scott to sign if the council approves, and that is also out on the share for you to look at.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't open up the other day.
Shoot.
Plus a lot of other stuff.
Amanda, maybe you could show him your screen. Let's see here. I might be able to print something here. Well, the proclamation is in front of you there, Scott, for you to sign.
I'm reading that. I've read this. Everybody
You want me
okay with that?
Yeah.
With this as well? Go ahead and,
We need a motion.
so do I hear a motion to go ahead and approve this proclamation for the High Plains Radio?
So
Moved by Cale,
Second.
second by Amanda, all in favor? Been approved. Okay, next item is the resolution 2020-3. Everybody had a chance to read through all that?
Lauren, are you going to talk about that?
I can go over it. This is for the bond, authorizing bonds for the city. It's authorizing bonds for the street project is what it is. I have taken a read through it and I don't see anything immediately wrong with it. In full candor to the council and the mayor, I have not been on the bond project. This has been the last thing Mike did, and I have not done any work on this project. I did not see anything immediately wrong or glaringly obviously wrong with the documents that were sent. But my knowledge of the matter is limited to the recent emails I have been CC'd on, as I have not done any of the work on this project.
So this resolution authorizes the full amount of the bond that we'd originally talked about. I assume, I don't know if it would be in the language in there, but we only issue the amount of bonds needed for that year. Obviously, we don't want to do more than what we need in that cycle. So I'm sure that's not, although it authorizes the full amount, that should cover at least 2 cycles of the project.
Does anybody else have any questions on this? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution 2020-3?
So moved.
Been moved by Amanda, second by David, all in favor? Approved.
Scott, I'm going to just step in the hall and watch you sign. There's 2 copies of that.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have the bond certificate. Any discussion on that? Ms. Hodge, here, a motion to approve the bond certificate.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda,
second.
second by Larry, all in favor? Approved. Okay, now we have the mutual agreement on the EMS building.
So, Scott, Houtman sent me the financials for last year, the revenue and expense reports, and there wasn't anything unusual on either one of them. One thing that he didn't send me that I'm going to ask for, just for clarification, is the EMS building is its own fund over there, and so they should be able to provide a fund balance showing the beginning and the ending balances every year. And I just want to make sure that the beginning balance is fair as compared to the ending balance from the previous year. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be, but the reports I have don't show that.
And we're still staying at $250.
Yes.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed any. For the new members, it used to be the other way around. We was taking charge of it. There was the county that had more vehicles up there than we did. So we loaned them the building, or rented the building to them for $1 a year and let them take over and then charge us $250, and they pay the rest, so, which made it a lot simpler. So do you hear a motion to approve this maintenance agreement on the EMS building?
So moved.
Moved by Cale, second by David, all in favor? Approved. Okay, library board appointments. We have some new ones there.
Well, this is going to have to be tabled. I got a hold of Nathan today, and there's 2 board members that are going off the board, Isaac Schultz and Colleen Kirkham, and they have to get replacements for them. They're supposed to have a meeting on May 19th to take care of that. So if we can table this topic till the next meeting, we should be able to make the appointments then.
Okay. Okay, well, let's move on to old business, property cleanup.
We just got the pictures today. She is looking for the archive letters, because the 2 that we're going to issue first are repeat ones, that I haven't been able to get anything out of. So as soon as we get those pictures with the original letters, we'll have those sent out.
Holly Lampy, who was previously with Mike Day's office, started with my office today. She has a flash drive of the city files that Mike had on his computer, and she brought them over to my office, and today she spent her afternoon in the process of transferring those from her flash drive to my server. I received the pictures that JR had sent to me this afternoon. So as soon as we have everything transferred over, we should be able to find those letters and get the dates so we can send them a copy. I hope to get that out with Holly being on now. She probably knows where those are. I would hope that we could be able to get those out this week. I will send the copy of the letters to JR just before I send them out, so that way it says what. I don't want to obligate you or your guys to do anything without you okaying the letters before they go out. So I will send them to you once we get them drafted. That will probably be a project for Holly this week.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to project pending. I did not hear, well, Doug Finley called me last week, wanted to know if I was going to be in town on Saturday. He never called me, never showed up on Saturday, so we still haven't looked at the library.
Somebody mentioned to me about the old pool property, the bathhouse, about potentially using that for a food pantry, and I said I would pass that on. If it was gutted, it's actually larger than you think. At first, I didn't think much of it. It would require, of course, some heating or air or something. You know, it would take some upgrades, but it was a potential use for that structure that's there. I don't think we've been sitting on that thing quite a while, knowing that we probably wouldn't take that building down. I understand the food pantry is They just want it out of the courthouse, which
Right.
makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not a ideal location, nor is that necessarily an ideal location, but it was a thought that I'd pass on.
Well, I don't know if that'd be too bad, or at least for parking it wouldn't be.
Right.
Do we have someone look at it, just get an idea of what it would take?
Yeah, this was just over the weekend, this person mentioned it. I was gonna measure the building to see what usable space there is, what is structural walls, and just kinda try to imagine what.
Would that be our cost, or whose cost would it be?
Well, based on that grant,
Yeah.
I would think that could
If
go
they could
right
get the
towards
grant
that,
and
kind
go
of
in
might
there.
fit perfectly.
And do that stuff.
Is that insulated?
It is not, no.
While we're on this topic, I think it might be important to say, for the grant going forward, I looked it up when she was talking about it and went to the Department of Commerce's website and looked it up. The amount that's been allocated for the grant is $9 million in funds, and if each city is eligible for $400,000, that's gonna go really, really fast.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Seems like a lot of.
If we're gonna be on it, I think, tomorrow morning, I have the link to the application. Lila, I don't know if this is something you wanna be on, or if you want me to try and do it tomorrow morning. We can coordinate that, I guess, after the meeting if you want, but I think that needs to get filled out and sent in tomorrow.
Well, that's what Justine takes care as the grant administrator, so you'd want to touch base with Justine tomorrow morning, and
Okay.
I can get you her contact information, absolutely.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just because I took a look at it, and since this is being discussed for the food pantry and the possible renovation of the old school building, I know that 100,000 would go a long way, and if there's only 9 million and each city's eligible for 400,000, we want to get that in ASAP. So I just thought
It'll get down to where there'll be so many applying for it that they'll say, well, we can only send you
right.
$50,000 out here, which won't go very far, but we might as well shoot for it, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to put that out there that we need to kind of be on that as quickly as possible.
For the food pantry too, I mean, I don't know if this is the ideal place either, but even over here in the old police park, for them to get by with anyway, until they did find something. You know, they just need enough electricity for freezers and that stuff and things, and I know the sheriff's department wants to use the little holding cell once in a while, but they can lock that off, can't they? And come in that side door for that.
What if we use the back side of the building there? It'd have to be cleaned out, but that back side, they could come in through the back door in the alley, and that's a pretty good space over there.
Yeah.
Who does the food pantry? I mean, who's?
Candy Douthit and.
I don't think Candy Duffet does it anymore.
Zona Potter,
Jonah Potter.
She's involved with it.
yeah, she helps with the
I talked
ordering
to her
part of it, I think.
Friday, and so she's, Zona has been in charge of it. I think Candy is kind of helping her on the macro level,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking if they're needing to find a place to get to start out with, I mean, at least get them something, and then maybe they'll find something better. I don't know what would be their best deal. Yeah, most of this back in here could be 85% of it can be thrown away, hauled away. I don't know about electricity enough for freezers and stuff would be the thing, but
I just step out for a minute on that grant. When was the allocation or the award of that, did she say?
I think she said they were going to process the applications and the funds would be due the next week. I think it's just going to be a rolling, it's not a deadline. I think it's just as they come in, they're going to process them, and when they run out of funds, they run out of funds. Is what it sounds like. I mean,
yeah.
and she said that it was allocated, but, I mean, with the SBA, the Small Business Loans under the CARES Act for the Paycheck Protection Program, I mean, they were out of money 10 days after it went live. And so that was, that was, you know, kind of why I looked it up, was
Competitive
because.
is an understatement on this one.
Right. I mean, well, because when they say, well, we've allocated a lot of funds, you know, or more than we ever have, well, how much is that actually? And so, we'll want to make sure that our application is one of the first in line.
Any idea how long that application tomorrow for the 10th?
I have no idea. So it says on here, I looked online, and it says applications open 5/12, and it explains kind of what's needed. It says cities and counties can find further details and apply by visiting this website. I click on the website to go to it. I do not see a link to the application right now. It has application. It has the applications open May 12th, 2020. I'm assuming that is going to change for the application. I'm assuming that's going to change to a link or to a PDF or something that we can fill out. Right. It has eligibility explanations underneath for the economic development and the meal programs, but I do not see I do not see a PDF or a draft of the application or anything else that is like that. And the only thing I really have to compare this to, as far as what's available here, is that SBA under the CARES Act, that relief. They had a draft application out. When they did that, I don't see anything like that on this website. And I know that's kind of apples to oranges, but I mean, in the new situation we're dealing with, they're both fruit, and that's the best comparison I've got. So.
Didn't Lois say that, I can't think of her name now,
Justine,
Justine would take care of all of that?
that's what their grant administrators are for.
That's what they get their cut for.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I mean, I guess all we have to do is
Follow up.
follow up with Justine, and I can do it via email. Lila, if you want to send me her email address, I can just follow up with her so she gets it right in the morning, and I'll just say, you know, the council is very interested in this. We've noticed that there's only $9 million in funds at the point where cities are eligible for $400,000. That's going to go very quickly. We would like our application to be as close to the front of the line as possible. Please let us know what we can do to assist with that, and then I'll just CC you in case she needs to reach out to either one of us. Lila, would that be agreeable to you?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, luckily, we have the survey part of it done, because there'll be some cities that, there's no way they'll get it done in order to apply.
Yeah.
So we're lucky on that part.
Yeah, we're probably ahead of the game.
So that's good.
Do we have to have that survey done by the end of the year?
We'll have to do it again.
In order to apply for the next round, if we can, so once the project is approved, which it is, this one and this funding, when we go back to apply for CDBG funding again, in other words, when we close this phase, that's when it will have to be complete, whether that's next year or the following year based on completion. That one has to be completely closed first.
And what is kind of the time frame? So how long do they take, you know?
The project, it just depends on the environment, you know, how far into fall we get with planning before construction would start, as to whether it would finish this year or the following year.
Well, I meant the survey itself.
So
How long do they give them to do the survey?
Well, I guess, I don't remember the last time we did that. It takes quite a while, because you send them out,
Takes a little while.
and then you actually send some people out to try to get, you know, the minimal number of them in.
Yeah.
I don't remember the time frame.
Took a little
Kind of
bit of
pain.
time,
Yeah.
It was about a month, JR. It was back in 2015, and it was shortly after I got here during the summer, and it was 3 or 4 weeks before we got everything done, it seems like.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least that long. No. Okay.
Forgot back on the food bank.
Yeah.
I talked to our leadership team about Kwanzaa, and had we not had the gymnastics in there, we would have tried to make a way for that, but we just felt like it was going to be too much. And so,
Lila, are you using anything over there in the police offices right now?
Not currently. There's a couple of rooms over there that the police department, they're using for evidence, but I think they're supposed to be emptying those out. No. It would be nice to have the extra storage space, but, for our stuff, but, you know, this is a need. I will put out there that I talked to Candy Douthit, and they were looking at that place on Main Street where the exercise, building used to be in Balance, and that
Oh, okay.
it sounds like that gentleman may be willing to let them use that space, but they'll have to come up with money to pay for the utilities. I don't think he's going to necessarily charge them rent, but he was talking about utilities, and they're concerned about that, the cost of that. So, but this grant could help them with that.
Yeah,
That location is actually very nice because it's right there on Main Street, but
yeah.
that's
That
just
would
one.
be a good location too.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying, I think if for some reason they can't find any place, we could offer something up until they do find something.
How many of the big freezers in over there?
What's that?
The big freezers? Have you seen their freezers? I just don't know getting them over on the PD
Aren't they
side.
just regular, freezers like in the house?
You may take a look tomorrow,
Yeah.
see if I can look, because I thought they had some fairly good-sized freezers.
Okay,
And I
well,
don't know how you'd get it
if they're
in
big commercial freezers, yeah, that'd be a little tougher to get in here. Yeah, depends on what kind of freezers they have and stuff.
I'll see if I can't take a look and.
I'm sure they're hunting for places, so I guess we'll just keep our ears open and see what happens. Okay, anything else on project spending? Okay, well, let's move on to street project. Where are we at on that? Any more stuff? We don't.
Not really. The tree bids, which I had as a deadline at this meeting, I didn't get that information out to him soon enough, so I had Lila rerun that, deadline being, previous to the next meeting. And, I won't be at that meeting, but I'm sure we'll get at least one bid on those. I've had an inquiry and I've got to send the information to the other one. Beyond that, we've got our bond in place and haven't seen any surveying. That was Miller and Associates' next step, so I think we've got everything we need to this point.
I thought there were surveyors out Friday.
Where?
When I went to lunch, they were up here at like Clay Middleman by school, and then they were
Really?
down that way by the courthouse later in the afternoon.
They did make good start at them. Okay.
Regarding the street project with the trees, I believe an individual that spoke with you previously stopped Janet, today when he saw her and asked, about certain trees being grandfathered in. Janet came back and reported to me, my understanding is the individual who is asking doesn't have standing to bring the issue, even if it was an issue. And so as far as that goes, I am not going to look into a matter unless someone with standing raises an issue. So just so that's,
Fluff.
well, just so the council and the mayor and
Right.
UJ are aware of what, is happening. I don't intend to look into the matter. I don't intend to look into a matter if someone without standing brings a concern, brings it up, because that individual lacks standing.
Grandfathering is a common term used when I don't want to follow the rules.
Yeah, well, and.
But no, I understand.
Well,
I've talked to this
aside from that, if the person who has in law, you have to, in order to be able to bring a complaint or bring a lawsuit or do anything, you have to have the legal standing in order to do it. You can't just say, I don't like this, I'm going to bring this. You have to have legal standing, and this individual does not have legal standing, and I'm not going to waste my time or the city's money in investigating this unless it escalates and becomes a problem. So if the council or the mayor or someone else would like to give me other direction, I will certainly do what I am told, but my opinion as of now is that the individual raising the matter does not have standing, and there's no reason for me to look into this unless someone with standing brings it up.
Sounds good. We was talking about one time in our ordinance, getting people from not planting out like that, like what these trees have caused damage.
Mm-hmm.
We never did that, did we?
There is some wording in the I'll review what we actually have before we go rewriting it.
Okay. Well, the reason I bring,
You can basically have cause to have it removed. We don't have the prohibition of putting it there, under
Right.
power lines, on streets and that thing. We could, basically, somebody could plant the tree and we could tell them they have to remove it, but we can't tell them you can't plant there. That makes,
the
if
reason
I remember right, it's worded really stupid,
somebody planted a tree in one of those spots the other day.
really.
Their sidewalks clear up there, and so there's the space between the curb and there. And when I seen them doing that, I thought, oh, don't do that. Someday, it'll cause a problem, but, I mean, this street, I don't have to worry about it. But 50 years down the road, they're gonna go, why'd they plant it there?
I'll look at that and see what it,
I don't think we did anything. We talked about it when we decided we was doing these streets and how those trees did that damage. To make sure people planted their trees clear up in their property instead of out by the curb. I don't think. There are 2 trees? Okay. I see them planting one. And I don't think there was ever any trees there before. Now, over on the side street, they've got a tree that's out there, but that's been there forever. Okay, let's go to pool report. What do you got, Larry?
Well, I've been doing a lot of research, talking to a couple different people. From what I can see, from what the governor's pushing ahead a 90-person maximum limit on people by June 1st. What is that, stage 3? There's going to be some restrictions if we try to open the pool at that point. I mean, as far as extra sanitation. I'm not as concerned about being in the water with the chlorine and the heat aspect, but I do have concerns about the pool deck. Jared and I've had a couple conversations about this. Lila sent me some information on some pools that are going to be opening. Goodland's opening June 1st. That was looking at Memorial Day weekend. Those are the only ones in the local area that I see that look like they're for sure. Colby, I talked to the activities coordinator over there. He's thinking that they're going to start open their pools June 1st with limited access to maybe lap swimming and maybe like aqua-size events where they control the numbers until at least June, what is it, 18th?
June 15th is the
15th is when they're supposed to release any restrictions. But I also have been told that they're not going to release the social distancing. Does that sound right, Lauren?
Yeah, so the phase out begins, and these are no earlier than, it's not no later than dates to keep in mind. So the June 1, while phase 3 is tentatively scheduled to start on June 1, if the state is not seeing a decline, the governor's office may push that date out later. The phase out is currently set to begin no earlier than June 15th, but they're planning on having at least 2 weeks. So if that May 18th date gets pushed out, which is the beginning of phase 2, that June 1 date is going to get pushed out, which means that the June 15th phase out is going to get pushed out. And even in the phase out, they're still stating to maintain social distances where applicable at that point. And so, I mean, I guess there would still be, they haven't said whether or not the maintaining social distancing is going to be applicable to pools.
I thought the social distancing phase 3 was only on, wasn't that on, well, it was not on something you had emailed out that had the plan spelled out?
Yeah, I did send that out. I don't have it handy here, though.
I'm in the framework for what it is. I have opened the full plan, and then I have the abridged version of it, up, including the 30 page plan. So, I mean, this is the official, it says, general provisions, stay-at-home, for the phase-out, stay-at-home orders are lifted and mass gathering limits are significantly relaxed. Mass gatherings are defined as instances in which individuals are in one location and unable to maintain 6 feet of distance between individuals, not including individuals who reside together, with only infrequent incidental moments of closer proximity. But it still says it's significantly relaxed. It doesn't say that it's eliminated. And it also says once the state is in phase out, the governor will issue additional guidelines to explain what health metrics will trigger an elimination of all statewide restrictions. So, I mean, we don't know, but based on the statements made in those general provisions, it sounds like as the phase out is coming, it's still going to start with, while you can have more than 90 people in one area, they're still going to be subject to that social distancing, at least at first.
My gut feeling is that's going to continue throughout the summer, as far as the social distance.
And kids in a pool aren't
No.
going to social distance.
I've had multiple people pushing me
They're in
to.
the water anyway.
Yeah, pushing me to have the pool open. I would love
Well,
to.
yeah, I've heard comments too.
What my concern is if we get to where, let's say we're looking June 15th or even July 1st, if we get to July 1st, I can't justify having the pool open for 45 days. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially if we're gonna have some extra restrictions still in place to where, how's that gonna affect our numbers? That's one concern.
On an average day, how many kids were they having, do you know?
Well, we've had anywhere from 50 to 75 probably on average to as high as 250 numbers. I mean, and we won't see that kind of numbers this summer. But, I guess it comes back to the communities paying for the pool. Do we do whatever we can to get it open and get as much or as little use out of it as we possibly can? I'm all for trying to get it open.
And I think it's up to parents too.
Yeah.
If they don't want their kids to go, then, I mean, you know, they always say that, why aren't we closing down the playgrounds? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we?
Right.
You know what? The parents should be telling their kids to stay home and I don't want you there.
Well, there's kids playing together all over town. Have to.
Yeah, I've
I mean,
seen
that's,
9 or 10 kids on
Well, look at-
bicycles all bunched together yesterday going down the street.
The rule for restaurants right now, you just can't have more than 10 people at one table. So, with no limit on the capacity in a restaurant. So why is that any different than a bunch of kids in a pool? If anything, it's less concerning than a pool because there's all the water around the moisture. So.
Yeah.
Or is that worse?
Ours,
what do you, don't follow you.
Oh, with the, they said in humidity, the, droplets supposedly fall faster and have less chance of spread. Higher humidity.
Just because I did send Larry to the local health department, just as a reference, they suggested June 1st or after, and basically did suggest that we open, but again, with these guidelines as an ongoing thing,
Yeah.
the question becomes, I need 2 weeks to get it operational. And
Did you talk to Tabitha after I talked to her?
She sent me an email.
Tabitha and Dr. Lick are pushing hard to have it open.
And that's what I find that a little interesting, but at the same time, you know, it says June 1st or later for their open date was their suggestion, so obviously
I
we
think
don't.
that probably just depends on if there's any outbreak, you know, if things
Yeah,
are going,
Sure.
which,
Oh, yeah.
do you listen to those governor conference calls on Fridays? I mean, they're pretty much on target for these dates, that they're sticking with them.
Okay.
They haven't let on that there's any reason why they should not follow this plan that she's already.
I think a lot of this is for what you said initially because of the chlorine and the sunshine. Are you guys anticipating and I know this is uncharted territory, but are you anticipating because of the limit of options that we've had lately, that it's been a big response once it opens?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's people that are gonna come regardless. I do think it will drop our numbers some. And it might be more so with the adults than it would be with the kids.
Yeah.
Part of my concern is having enough lifeguards, having too many lifeguards. We've got a manager that we're looking at right now that I think I've talked to this individual in great detail about some different options, but if we don't know what date we're gonna be able to actually turn this thing loose, do we take a gamble and say, yeah, we're shooting for June 1st, and I'd love to see that. Even if we have to go to less hours, which we've talked about maybe going from like 1 to 6 and not doing evenings in June. Probably eliminating swim lessons this year. It's just not a viable option to try to do swim lessons in like July because of all the other activities and harvest and you name it going on. We might have to bypass on swim lessons this year. If we did open up and you had to control your numbers, like I said, I'm not concerned about as much about being in the water, but we would have to segregate, as if you're saying, 10 people in one spot, or try to maintain that 6-foot distance. There'd be extra sanitation, like in the bathrooms and the railings. I don't know. I haven't heard definitive yet on whether or not we could do concessions with that point-on-point contact. I mean, you're not going to get around the point-on-point contact, I don't think. I've even seen some things where they encourage you to have the people wear masks. Just make sure that they don't wear them in the pool so that they drown. And it sounds silly, but
When does the pool normally open?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend. So you're looking to do like
Memorial Day weekend, yeah, it'd be
one week delay, basically.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked you that because I was asked even by my own daughter-in-law because we just had to cancel we had a big trip to Yellowstone planned, and Yellowstone announced they're not going to open up completely until the 15th, but we're leaving on the 15th.
Of June?
Yeah, and they said most of the restaurants, most of the places won't be open. So we've tried to wait. And so the comment she made is, well, maybe by then we'll have the pool open, so we'll have something to do, staying here. I thought, well, I don't know. So
I've yet to come across anybody that doesn't want the pool to be open. Jared and I've talked a little bit about what it's going to take to get to that point. I mean, we've got, 3 weeks?
Do you have enough lifeguards lined up?
Well, I contacted all the lifeguards, and I had one other kid just, Lila, did you have another applicant come in here just this past week?
Not that I'm aware of. I'll go check while you guys are talking.
All right. I contacted all these kids. Granted, it's been 3 or 4 weeks ago after we knew everything was put on hold. All the kids seemed optimistic. I think we're going to have enough kids. I really do. And I think with the manager that we're looking at, we can coordinate some things. I just don't know if we're going to have to adjust our hours, like I said, cut out the evenings possibly, or I've had a lot of people ask about doing lap swimming, which could be controlled very easily. Aqua size events could be controlled pretty easy.
That's the ones I'm not worried about.
Yeah,
I'm worried about the kids not having something to do.
Right.
Well,
I
I
agree.
mean, even starting at phase 3 on June 1, if it's on track to start, I mean, there's still that limitation on mass gathering, no more than 90 individuals. And, I mean, we know the kids are not going to keep 6 feet apart, and I'm not going to I'm not gonna go there, but, I mean, there would still need to be, I think, a count of how many people are coming in, because I don't think you can, I mean, I just don't know that it would be within the guidelines to admit more than 90 people at a time, and so you could, I mean, they need to count them coming in, and then count them going out, so they could let more people in, and I don't know, I guess if that will be an issue or not. I mean, if there's, I don't know how many people are
It'd
chomping
be
at the bit to
interesting, because you get a lot of people come from out of town. Now,
Yeah.
Bird City's definitely not doing theirs. You know they're gonna have additional there if you're open. I mean, you're gonna have to really lay down
One of the
whatever
last,
the guidelines are.
one of the last conversations I'd had with Justin was they were talking about busing kids over here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I mean, last year alone, I'm betting 40, maybe as high as 50% of the business up there was out of town. We drew a lot of people in.
One of their liability issues we could face if someone had an axe to grind and they found out there was 110 in there when there's only supposed to be 90.
Well, I mean,
Or if you organize it, okay, Bird City, use some other this time. I mean, I don't know how that would work, but,
yeah, I mean,
you almost have to, you want them to drive over and, oh, sorry,
right, I mean,
sorry if you can't swim,
or if they have,
or you have to get out.
or if they have
Yeah.
you know, Bird City's gonna be coming over on whatever day, okay, well, they need to give us a head count the day before, so we can only let so many people into the pool, knowing that Bird City's coming over.
But the
I
no
guess-
more than 90 expires on June 15th, so we just have 2 weeks to worry about.
It tentatively expires on June 5th. I mean, it
Yeah.
tentatively expires on June 15th, but I mean,
But you still have the social distancing in effect even after June 15th, from
Right.
my understanding.
right.
It
I
says
mean,
maintain social distance where applicable.
right.
What
Yeah.
does that mean?
And it doesn't say where applicable. I mean, and they're supposed to give us more guidance as it comes out now. I mean, we're working on this thing half blindfolded. I mean, just because there's so much up in the air. I mean, I know it's,
At this point, we know, because based on our local one, it's June 1st or later. So
Right.
if we check in on this at the 18th, which is a week from today, will we have a better handle on any of these things?
I think we will probably have a better handle on the 18th if we in fact enter phase 2. Because, I mean, as of right now, we're in phase 1, tentative to start phase 2 on the 18th. I mean, it says no,
Oh, that is, phase 2 is the 18th?
phase
Well, that's
2 is
perfect.
no earlier than the 18th.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean,
That gives us
if
a trigger
we're,
point, okay, we're the first, or we're a week later than the first, or, you know, it gives us a
Right.
stop point.
I mean,
Right now,
right,
we're
if we-
speculating maybes
correct.
of the 18th, and on the 18th, we could know something, okay.
On the 18th, we will know
Still be
whether we're
open
in
on the
phase
first.
2 or phase 3.
Okay.
And I believe phase 2, the pool is allowed to open. The problem is that the pool would be allowed to open for 30 individuals. 30 mass gatherings of up to 30 are allowed, prohibited any more than that. So, I mean, yes, we will know on May 18th whether or not we are entering phase 2. We still won't know what happens with phase 3, but we will at least know whether or not we are on track to enter phase 2 on May 18th.
We need a meeting, for the pool on the 18th to decide whether we're making June 1st, which is the local health department's suggestion, that or later. And then if it follows that time, then we'll talk about the next meeting. Because I need 2 weeks for chemicals and everything to have it operational. So we have to, if we're shooting for the 1st, I have to know that on the 18th.
Mhm.
Based on what I'm seeing too, is we're gonna have to have signs posted on how to stop the spread of the virus. For example, let's be extra cleaning, disinfecting, like I mentioned, and that at least daily, or if there's multiple shared objects that are gonna have to be cleaned.
We might, because I thought the governor had another conference either Wednesday or Thursday this week.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, we might know by the end of this week.
But the 18th, the reason I'm pulling that one out is because that's 2 weeks from the time of June 1st. If we're gonna meet that deadline, we have to say, as of the 18th, we are gonna open the pool on the 1st in order to have it done.
So you need to
So
order,
really-
you need to order chemicals to get them here?
Yes. And, I mean, unless the governor does weird stuff and we get pushed into the latter part of June, I would say we're probably ordering chemicals, but I don't wanna do that before the 18th, where we find out about whether they're gonna extend something. So whether it be just a pool meeting, we don't have to, I mean, the decision would be is if all the parameters are right for the 18th, on the 18th, the pool board could essentially make that call as long as the right things are in place.
Right.
As long as the governor hasn't backtracked on it.
And I mean, I guess the caveat to that would be with the target date of June 1, stating that if phase 3, it is the intention of the pool board to allow them to open on day 1 of phase 3, meaning that if phase 3 gets pushed back until June 8th, so it gets pushed back a week or gets pushed back 3 days or whatever, the pool opening will not be until phase 3, so that 90 people will be admitted. Because I think giving a date of June 1, I mean, even if you say tentatively June 1, people are going to hear June 1.
Exactly.
So,
I think we do that.
so pool will be open on the first day of implementation of phase 3.
And the 18th is when we make the decision. Right now, it's just based, our decision is, we're gonna see what it's like on the 18th.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, we'll just wait till the 18th and see what comes on that date.
I haven't called a pool board meeting because I've talked to everybody, simply because everything's been up in the air. So if I understand what you're saying, is we can't, what do I direct the lifeguard and the potential manager? Do I
I
say
think
this?
the 18th is really, we will know on the 18th, we'll have more direction. I don't know how else you could say anything other.
Okay.
With the potential of the governor changing that, I think we have to wait till the 18th to make the decision. The intent would be is to attempt to open the pool as soon as we can, as far as telling the managers, don't you think?
Monday.
That'd give you enough time to get ready by the,
Oh, is it Monday?
by the first?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking 19th.
Give or take, I mean, if we,
We
I
might
wanna
know
hit,
more
I'd
by the-
much rather have a
Right.
date
We might
to
know
hit it.
I think we'll know
It makes
on that
no sense to
Thursday or
pull that
Friday
date
before that,
today.
Monday.
The end of this
So I
week,
think a
we
pool
will.
board meeting, the end of the evening of the 18th, to review where the governor's at, and then give direction to staff at that point.
They've also, the other issue we would have is getting certifications, but they've extended that 90 days. The activities director from Colby he actually called me here last week and wanted to know kind of where we stood on things. Even at this stage, he's still willing to come over maybe on a couple Sundays or something to do the training, but most of the training's gonna be online. They were even modifying some of the in-water training that they're doing to limit contact.
One last point, with Bird City being closed, they obviously have guards the previous years and stuff too. There might be potential if their staff shortages.
Could be.
Just a thought.
I think what I'll do then is contact all the lifeguards and the potential manager, and then just tell them we're looking at further discussion after the 18th,
On the 18th,
on the 18th.
because that's the date right now when it should be, and if that is in place, then that gives us,
So a week from today.
yes.
yeah, we're
Find
set
out
to
this-
enter phase 2 a week from, we're set to enter phase 2 a week from today. And the governor may announce that we are in fact going to enter phase 2, or we are not in fact going to enter phase 2. I think she gives weekly updates, doesn't she,
Like
on
Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday
yeah.
nights, I think? I don't know if she's doing like a full address like she does usually, but I mean, we can certainly look into that. And see if she announces that we'll be moving into phase 2, and if not, I mean,
And she's got those conference calls on Fridays for elected officials that she
Yeah.
might give more, which you said you've been listening in, David?
Yeah, I think Thursday or Friday we'll know
I
what
think,
she's gonna.
Lila, you listen, don't you?
Not on the ones for elected officials, but I have twice a week meetings with the league. And
Okay.
we should know something maybe Thursday. If I do, I'll let everybody know.
Yeah, I think Thursday or Friday we'll have an idea
Will you
what's gonna
listen in on
happen Monday.
Friday? Will you be able to listen in Friday
What's that?
on the governor's conference call?
Yeah, but I had to get off early.
No, this coming one, will you be?
I'll be, yeah.
I've got another obligation, so I won't be able to listen in, so.
Yeah.
So if everything stays in place the way the governor says, as of the 18th, if everything goes the way it's planned to be right now, we should be able to do our June 1st with the 2 weeks of limitations on the numbers, right?
Correct.
So that would be our trigger, that if everything is in place at that time, yes, I would suggest, yes, we are opening with these limitations on the first 2 weeks because of the governor's order.
And I would phrase that as, yes, we are opening at the start of phase 3. Because even if we're on track to make phase 2, we don't know if phase 3 is actually going to be June 1. And so we will, I mean, I guess if the full board votes to open it, instead of voting to open it on June 1, because if you give it that hard date and it is opening on June 1, and we're still in phase 2, if you open it, you're opening it for 30 people at the max.
Yeah.
And so I would say, you know, look at wording it on the first day. When phase 3 starts, we will be open. Right now that is scheduled for June 1st, but we're not giving a date, we're giving when phase 3 starts. That's going to be the opening day. Because, I mean, it'll be it's obviously up to the pool board, but it seems a whole lot of work and a whole lot of fuss to open it for 30 people at a time. I mean, I don't know, and that's up to the pool board if they want to do that, but
That's one of the things that was kind of discussed too, is do we block out time and make it really complicated and have people sign up for 2-hour slots? And there's just no way you can do that, because the pool, and I'm sure everybody in here knows it, it's a babysitting venture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People drop their kids off and they're done.
Yeah.
And it's always been a community service. I just want to make sure that we can provide enough time during the summer that it doesn't take an even bigger bite on the city. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People want it open, no question about it.
And that's why we should have that special meeting and follow along and make the dates as soon as we can, to do it as soon as we can.
I'll contact all the kids that have applied and the manager potential, and just fill them in about the mandate of phase 3.
yes.
Yeah.
You tell people a date, and you say tentatively, and then you say a date, and that is all they hear is that date. They don't hear the word
That's a
tentatively.
good point.
And so, I mean, you can say June 1 if you want, but I'm trying to.
Any other suggestions,
Yeah, well-
recommendations?
Moving on from that, what are you gonna charge? I've got taxpayers that say we should charge more. I mean, we've been at $1 for
Yeah,
a year and a half now.
I actually had brought up $2 for adults and $1 for kids last year, and I got shot down.
By the pool board,
By the pool board.
maybe the pool.
Well, and
I understand what you're saying, and I do think we need to go up at least on the adults. We've
well,
got to be a little careful.
these people that have contacted me, which they did last year, and I said, no, well, it's already decided, but I understand their point. They're saying, it's my tax dollars paying for that pool. And they said, and I said, well, you're lucky because you live out in the country, because it's my tax dollars here in town that's paying for all the extras.
Yeah.
You know, the lifeguards and all the extra stuff that's costing. And they're not getting charged that part of it. And so he went, what do you mean? So I had to explain it to him that the town people are getting taxed a little bit harder on it than the one out on his farm ground.
Right.
But then he comes back and say, well, I own X amount of acres, which is true. But they also said that they don't think it's right for people coming from Colorado, Idaho area, which they have come in pretty, you know, and be able to swim for a cheap price like that.
Yeah.
What, and Colby charges what?
Well, Kobe's got a water park.
Yeah, but I mean, what was the
Last I
admission to
heard
the
there-
old pool? What was the admission to the old pool? What was the cost?
$1.50, wasn't it, Tara?
And what's the cost for the new pool?
But,
So a better facility with a water slide costs less
yeah, I'm
money?
not denying that.
Okay.
Part of the concern, or part of the argument in the beginning was, we're already paying for the pool, why should we pay admission?
So the conversation has come up, well, then tell people people out of town, they have to pay more, and then it gets complicated.
Yeah,
But
there's no way
literally,
There's all ways to look at it, but
I agree with you, though.
I think
do
it should
think
be
we need to
bumped
go
up, but.
well, if the council agrees, though, it's that they, I mean, not to take anything away from the board,
Oh, no.
but maybe the suggestion should come from the council. that
Absolutely.
They make
Absolutely.
changes. Because we want them, I mean, we want the board to be in charge, that's hands off, but that's a bigger issue.
That was the whole reason the pool board was put together,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and I've been on it for 40 years.
And it's very
But I will,
and very important to have that board,
but I will also
I'm sorry, I didn't.
fight about not raising it this year because of what's happened right now.
So
A lot of people without jobs aren't gonna be able to afford to pay more for their kids to go to the pool this summer and stuff. But I think next year, it really should be raised.
I don't think we can raise it to the level that Colby like
No.
$5.
No.
But
No.
I could easily justify a couple bucks for adults, $1.50 for kids,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And get it up. What everybody on the council needs to realize is that's not gonna make any difference to the bottom line to speak of.
No, not really.
no, but it's answering to the call of the taxpayers' concern.
Yeah. But what's everybody think on that? I mean, as far as the council, not the pool board.
And then leave it the same this year?
Well, whatever. I mean, you could raise it this year too if you wanted to, but I'm just thinking with this COVID, there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. And
I don't think it's so much an issue with the kids. I do think we should bump the adult rate.
Yeah.
To $2 as a basic place to start.
I agree with that.
And one of the issues that we ran into last year, and we kind of nipped it in the butt, was even like if a grandparent's going to come in and sit down. Well, every now and then you have one of them sneak in the water, so it was, you come through the door, it's $1.
I thought everybody paid $1 last year, no matter what.
That's what we had to get to.
Yeah.
Because we had, in the past, we had grandparents or parents coming in,
Yeah.
sitting down,
That didn't want to pay?
may or may not be getting in the pool, so we don't need to pay.
I would think that this year, you would with the COVID, I would think that they would want to, so they can keep track of, you're limiting how many people can come into the facility, whether they're in the water or not.
Right.
And so, if you have 2 grandparents from out of town coming in to watch, and you have 5 sets of grandparents who are coming in to see their grandkids play in the pool. That's 10 of your 90 for the first 2 weeks that are taking up spots so people can't come in and pay to get into the pool.
That's the reason.
As a consideration, especially with the restrictions, because we don't know what those phase-out numbers and what those limitations on gatherings, what those number limitations on gatherings are going to be. So something, I guess, that I would,
That's the gist of the reason we went to, if you walk through the door, it's $1, period. Whether you swim or not.
right.
Is the lap swimming a seasonal charge, or is it $1?
The way we always did it is each individual session, if you went lap swimming, if you went, swim in the afternoon, you swim in the evening, you swim aquaside. So if you went 4 times during the day, it'd be $4.
That's what I didn't know how you
$1
were.
per session is what we've always done.
So now it'll be $8 if you go to $2.
Yeah. And I'm not sure we can justify lap swimming yet.
Yeah.
Because one year you have pretty good turnout, the next year you're lucky if you have 2 or 3. I do think there's a need for it, and some people would use it.
Are you able to ascertain how many adults come and how often? The average adult, are you able to break it down that way?
I can tell you 8 or 10 people that are there every day.
Really?
I spent a lot of time in and out of the pool last summer. Jared kept calling me down there for some reason.
For me personally, I went 15, 20 times last year. $2 or $3 wouldn't have bothered me.
Huh?
$2 or $3 wouldn't have bothered me. But if someone goes every day,
Yeah. And we used to have the passes. And that might still work, but I don't think you wanna get into that now. You need to have time where you pay so much, you know, you think your kid's going every day, so you buy this pass and they just punch it when they come. But, and they get a little discount if they buy a monthly pass. But that's something to look at later, so, but, what's everybody think? I mean, I brought something up that maybe didn't need to. But I think maybe next year we ought to consider raising for sheriff and maybe leave it alone this year, but I just wanted to ask if they was considering that
I think we need to bump it a little bit this year, at least for the adults.
for the adults. Does everybody agree with that?
Would have a problem with it.
I don't think we're gonna get any pushback on that from previous experience. I think pool's more about the kids. I mean,
You're right.
and the big events we had, we don't have alumni this year. We don't have anything going on around July 4th. And the other issue is I don't know, well, a lot of these are local kids, so we've always wanted to try to, with this new pool, to get to the end of August somehow. At least get to Labor Day weekend. We never been able to staff it.
Yeah. Lifeguards.
Are there ways to generate extra revenue by private parties in the evening?
Yeah. We did probably 5 or 6 private parties last year, and but then you get back into this social distancing deal where that to me is the only real concern I have about this whole thing is how are you going to keep, try to mandate some kind of social distancing? And who's going to be in charge of walking around saying, you need to go over there?
Do we need a motion?
Yep.
Yours?
I'm already the bad
We'll
guy.
give you a badge. You don't get a gun, you get a water pistol.
And a hat with a siren on it.
Maybe we should make it a motion to $2 adults this year, raise the adults, and then next year we will possibly raise the kids' admission to the pool. So do I hear a motion to the $2 this year?
Do we wanna make that or let the pool, I mean, we have the pool board, we can make it the city's suggestion that we think.
Just do it that way?
And
Okay.
let them decide, I mean, that's why we have the pool board.
But then if they decide not to, then they're
And
going
then you
against
tell,
us.
then you make a motion.
I guess. We'll let you, yeah.
Talk it over.
Take care of it, Larry.
Yeah, take care of it, Larry. We'll do it that way. Okay. Okay, anything else? I guess we've talked about pools as much as anything tonight. Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the pool report?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda,
Second.
second by Dara, all in favor. Building permits.
I don't want to mention the name in public, but I would like 1 minute of executive session so that I can tell you who we're at least talking about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What's the topic?
It would be
Employment,
employment
yeah.
personnel for the pool,
Okay.
and Amanda volunteered to make that motion.
I figured that was you.
Okay, building permits.
There's just 2 of them, on the list, Zona Potter and Chris Hanks. I've looked at both of those, and they're good.
Did you recommend the angled on zoners or?
Isn't that strange?
Yes.
I said you could do that, and they did that. Like, that's an interesting triangle, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't let
Keep
that
the
do it.
blind-
I thought, man,
keep the blind, yeah.
It
helps
fits
with
the blind corner, but kind of a head scratcher, because I thought they might angle away from the door a little bit, but
Yeah, nope.
to each their own.
okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the building permits?
So moved.
Moved by Dara, second by David, all in favor? Approved. Superintendent report.
So the first thing I want to bring up is the electrical improvements, which have been held up for months, trying to get material from our local Banyan Electric, Bill Keller's company. That's just not happened. It's fallen apart. I'd just like to suggest that the council reluctantly go ahead with the low bid on the material, if that bid is still good with Resco, to supply the material so we can move forward with scheduling our electrical improvements. I just want to point out, I don't take that recommendation lightly. That's why we've spent months attempting to get that material from Stannion. I did talk to Bill Keller once. Have spent some time, and the follow-up has been as if I've come up with a list of material for them to supply, and that's not the way it works. So I don't know what else.
Do you have any issues with the quality of this other place you get stuff from?
None whatsoever. As part of a bid process that we went through originally, the contractors who are bidding the project then send the information forward to multiple material suppliers who then bid it to them. So they will be basically utilizing the material of the supplier that they chose, the low bidder.
What's everybody's thoughts? We've been on this for quite a while.
I think we move forward and get it done.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go move forward.
Okay, I'll make sure the bid is valid on that. I do want to point out that it's actually a subcontract bid, so that'll take a separate contract with this individual, which I would come back to at the next meeting. I know it's a 2-week delay, but I wanted to make sure that's what we wanted before we put that in place, because we will be, although they were a bidder for the original contractor, we would be buying it directly to save the material markup on it. So I'll have more details at the next meeting on that.
Is this for one of the feeds, like 7 or something?
1 and 3.
1 and 3?
1 and 3, the original ones we was working with RVW on, that the bid just went way out of whack,
Oh, yeah.
high on. The intent here would be is buy all of the material somewhere in the neighborhood of $110,000 for both 1 and 3, and then schedule work per year, which would fit our budget.
Yeah.
If we get all the material at one time, then we can stage forward with that.
Yeah.
The well testing, I talked about this a long time ago. It's finally scheduled. We do the efficiency test on the wells to make sure our well supply is in good shape. It's been a few years. Anyway, that is scheduled, I think, next week. I called last Friday. The theater is kind of in the same position as the pool. The attempt would be to open the 21st. Now, that's with that limitation of the 30, but that one's going to be in the same position as the pool, as seeing what the 18th is, I guess, essentially, and triggering when they go forward. But they have to order supplies and whatnot in order to do that. So tentatively, the 21st on the theater.
Oh, like they had a good night. Saturday night,
They
we
did.
had popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
21st of May? 21st of May?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that, of course, is with the guidelines. They did the exact same thing you did, Larry, is contacted the local, looking for recommendations. I think that the final place we check, once we think the governor's, rules and orders are in place and that we're fitting all that, is to still go back to the local health department and clear it with them, because we still remain under, I guess, that authority.
Tabitha and I talked a little bit about the theater too. So.
What's that?
Tabitha and I talked a little bit about the theater too.
See, I think that one's actually more concerning. In all reality, it's a confined space as opposed to that. And we'll have some discussions about that, but with plexiglass and the clean practicing and cleaning and stuff, they do think it's possible. The street sweeper, this is the time of year we normally have a street sweeper going a lot. It is actually in Garden City. We could not get a mechanic to come up here, so we finally had to haul the thing down there. I know the streets look bad. We'll be on it as soon as we can get the thing back. Food pantry. Have the alley pans, have you noticed they've gotten quite a few of those? It's kind of an interesting design. I looked at the first one, I wasn't quite sure, but it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't hold sand that way for the trickle water, but they look really good, and they're moving right along on those things. It's good to get those things moving. I mentioned this before, the street bids will be due, for the meeting of May 25th. I won't be here for that meeting. I think we can most likely have that information and make a recommendation for that meeting, at that time, but I will not be at that. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for JR? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent report?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Cale, second by Larry, all in favor? Approved. Attorney report?
On the Google Drive is the application for the peddler's license that was turned in. It was completed by Letitia Maldonado. It is missing a Kansas sales tax number. The food production is at-home food production, so it is not a commercial kitchen or anything, I guess, regulated, and the application is not notarized or sworn in front of the clerk or assistant city clerk. So my understanding is that there was also no application fee submitted. Is that correct, Lila?
That's right.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess it's up to the council whether or not they want to waive the application fee, but the permit the application as it stands is incomplete. There's not a Kansas sales tax number. It says, how long will you be doing business in the city? It says 1 year or more. My understanding is that if it's going to be sold more than 6 times, the sales tax number is required, so that is missing. And there's the issue of that it is not a commercial kitchen or in compliance with the, what would be health code. And that's not really within the scope of the city to enforce that. That's more county and or state, but as far as the completion of the application, I advise the council, I guess my statement to the council is that it is incomplete. So I don't know if the council, I don't know what the council wants to do with it. I guess I highly doubt these individuals are collecting sales tax and remitting sales tax. I don't know what the council wants to do.
Well, if he gets a sales tax number and he isn't reporting, they'll catch up to him.
Is it our responsibility to find
No,
out
we don't
the
have to go
sales
out,
tax number?
no.
Well, the application asks for the sales tax number, and so without that, without the sales tax number, I think the application is incomplete. It does say, I mean, if you look at the application, which is on the drive, just above description of the nature of the business, my Kansas sales tax number is, and it's left blank. And I think that that's a requirement. My understanding is that that is a requirement of the application. So I don't know if the council wants me to return, I guess have this returned and state you have to have a sales tax number in order to have this. I don't know what the council wants to do.
Well, with an explanation why it's being denied. I mean, maybe they can get it, maybe they
Right.
can't, you know?
Right.
I guess that would be back on them, but.
Yeah. I mean,
An explanation, I guess, because it's, nope,
right.
you know.
Right, no, I mean, I have no problem saying, you know, the application is incomplete due to the lack of sales tax number. I don't know whether the at-home food production, whether you, I guess, want me to address that.
What's everybody think? Just send them a letter about, don't have the sales tax number, and see if he comes back, see if they come back with that. Then we just
Is it
go from
required
there.
for the 6 times a year to do it, to have one?
What's that?
I don't know that it's even required for the 6 times per year.
Like the people at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
I
think
don't know
that,
that it's even required for that.
it's not required, so you can do up to 6 times, but on time number 7,
You have to have tax
you have
ID
to have a tax ID.
and commercial kitchen.
I believe so.
I think that's how.
Don't know, I believe so. I know the sales tax, the commercial kitchen, I think so, I can't say for sure. But, I mean, the sales tax I know, the sales tax I know, and I think
Yeah.
that it's also commercial kitchen. Lila, do you know on that?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So this would also apply to anybody who's selling cakes, cupcakes, cookies, anywhere in town.
Well, so it's not necessarily.
No? Oh,
Because
not
because
peddling?
if they're posting it, so if they're basically posting it saying, I'm making this in my home, I will take your order and either deliver it or you come pick it up from me.
Yeah.
They're not within the scope of the statute, or they're not within the scope of the ordinance of a peddler
Right.
or a solicitor or a canvasser. These are people who are taking their wares
Yeah.
for sale. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that is, and that was the whole thing with the other options. And so I guess we'll just say that the application is incomplete due to the lack of sales tax number. The application has indicated you're going to be selling things more than 6 times a year. Due to that, you are required to have a Kansas sales tax number. The application is incomplete, and until you have one, we cannot approve the application.
Correct for this type of soliciting, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, unfortunately.
Unless he does the other
What-
deal.
Yeah, I will call you.
Well, that,
I will call you.
what about the same situation to where people give them orders?
If people want to give them, if people give them orders and he does, and they go around and deliver the orders, I don't think that's an issue. I think the issue is that it's not just a pre-order. I mean, I think we've established in reading the ordinance that pre-orders and delivery of pre-orders is not an issue. It's the having something and either setting up a stand or carrying it from place to place and engaging in the immediate sale. And so, I mean, I can include in the letter and state, you can only take pre-orders. I mean, I don't want to say, I'm not trying to just say, hey, no, stop it. But at the same time, I think it sets a dangerous precedent to be like, well, do we really need to enforce this ordinance? Because then it just sets a dangerous precedent.
And they may not understand, you know, even if you give the impression that they can take orders, they need to understand that, you know, somebody could turn them in if they sell more than 6 times, and then they're going to be in trouble.
But that's not our responsibility.
Oh, but-
Just give them the information.
My point is, if you give them the impression that that's all, that they can take orders, then they're not going to know. I'm concerned that they may misinterpret that.
Right.
I'd hate for them to get turned in and get in trouble, you know?
You just provide him the information that it's about the 6 times
Right.
that you can
Yes.
participate, along with saying, for this type of license, you have to have a tax ID.
But you can legally get,
Yeah, but it used to be.
I mean, I don't know that it's our job to advise, I don't know that it's the
Yeah.
city's job to advise them of the law. Basically state you need to have a tax ID. There are laws on selling food, and having a tax ID. If you're going to do it, depending on how you're going to do it, how frequently you're going to do it, you need to determine whether or not you need to have a sales tax ID and obtain one, and possibly obtain one. But because you do not have the application is currently incomplete. I mean, I guess I'm not going to tell them what they need to do in order to do it, because if they misinterpret it or misconstrue it or anything, I'm not gonna have to come back out and sit.
Well, what if we direct them to the Kansas, what is it, the,
Department of Revenue.
KDA website?
Okay.
And KDOR, I guess. Please give him the information so
Right.
he knows what he can do, and
What are you looking up for?
then he can get a license if he wants, or not a license, he can get a tax ID, no
Just
problem. It's
One
free,
of those that,
Right.
$25.
No,
Free.
the tax ID is free.
it was one, you know,
Yeah, you're right, it is free.
maybe we always assumed it was one way and,
Yeah.
we just can't find it in the.
What are you looking up?
She got it, she had heard that it was, if it was from business to business, it's not, but there's nothing that clarifies that in here.
Well, I don't know, I guess we just
Did I get that?
No,
see if they'll apply for Kansas sales tax license, and then we'll see
Yeah.
where it leads from there.
Not us, up to us to.
Yeah,
maybe
then
anybody.
we don't need to enforce anything.
No.
They get a Kansas sales tax license and come in and we either, they pay the fees, or we, don't charge them the fees. That's up to us to decide, but
Right.
they need the sales tax license first, so. Okay, let's just do that then. Is that all you had, Lauren?
That was all I had.
Okay. So your motion to accept and file the attorney report. Moved by Cale. Second by Derek, all in favor? Approved. Clerk report, Lila.
The CIC, software person will be here this Tuesday through Thursday to install the time card software and, train us on it. Once that's completed, there's the final payment that is due. That's $3,322.50. And I would like to go ahead and be able to issue a out-of-cycle payment for that once everything is completed. So I'd need a motion to do that.
Okay, do I hear a motion to pay $3,322.50?
So moved.
Been moved by Cale. Second by Dara, all in favor? Approved.
The governor's orders, for the utility disconnects extended that through May 31st. So that's going to make our shut-off day, June 1st. And we still have the same 3 individuals and 1 business who haven't paid their bills in March, April, and now May. And we have 2 individuals who have not paid their bills in April or May. One of those individuals isn't a customer who's typically late on paying. And I don't think they've ever been late before, so I don't know their personal circumstances. I don't know what the situation is for that individual, but I'm just wanting to clarify that with the council that you want us to do the normal process with, letting them know that they can request a 10-day extension if they do so by, well, in this case, it would be May 29th, and the shut-off day would be June 1st, and they could extend that to June 11th. Is that?
Did we waive fees for May?
Yeah, the fees have been waived until, let's see, what did you guys say? I think until, hold on a second, I can find that. I think you've made it until such time as when you decide to bring them back. I think that was what it was, but let me check the minutes here real quick.
Oh, we waived fees for April and May. Didn't for March. I think we did.
Or we did, or was it just for April, because we hadn't had a meeting in May?
It was a resolution, wasn't it, Lauren?
she stepped out.
Aaron J.R. stepped out. I think, like Cale was saying, this is the first meeting in May. So I think we did April, and we would go ahead and continue it until some things got lifted that people knew were going back to work and stuff.
Yeah,
So probably would include April and May.
it's effective, until the expiration of Order 2005, which was the utility thing. So that would be, fees are waived through May, and assuming she doesn't extend that again, then the fees will become active.
Right. Yes. So on those customers you were talking about, just treat them like normal once we get there.
Okay.
All
right. Well,
Does
that's,
everybody agree with that? We don't change anything up? We talked about that the last meeting,
yeah.
Are
Just
any
wanted to
of them
make
affected
sure.
by this?
What?
No. Are any of, like, you said there was one business, are they affected by closures, or?
Yeah, do you know what that one business is affected by the being closed, or do you know?
They're not closed. No, they're not closed. I will say they have in the past been those ones that have been shut off for non-payment.
Okay,
Have.
I know.
But do you think they've
Not
also
recent.
been affected by this, even worse than normal?
There would be no way for me to know that.
Yeah.
They also owe us a large bill from a while back. Same
Yeah.
people? Okay, yep. Shut them down.
I mean, here's my thing on that, and you guys talked about this before, and they can certainly come to the council if they've got a hardship, and I can put that, what I plan to do is send another letter out with the delinquent notices again this month, just like I did last month, making sure everybody knows what the process is going to be. And if you want, I can add a blurb in there that if you have concerns about the amount that you owe, request to speak to the governing body and make that request by May 28th, which per our ordinance, they can request a hearing if they contest the amount. So I can put that in there, and then if they want to come and talk to you guys about why they can't pay their bills, it would certainly be an option. But if they don't reach out to us, then...
Yep. Makes sense.
I don't know, I think you're opened up can of worms when you say, do they contest, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put on there if they want to contest, what they owe us or anything. I just, if they want to come in to say that they can't pay it right now or whatever, but I think opening that other deal that they want to say, well, we didn't use that much electricity. I don't think we want to do that right now.
So if you look at our code, though, it actually says in there that hold on just a second. Let me just find what it says, because I looked this up, and it's a statute where they have a right to a hearing if they disagree with the amount of the bill.
Right, if they disagree, but don't put something in a letter to ask them to disagree with it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't say it correctly.
Because then there'd be a lot of people disagree with their bill.
I disagree with mine.
Mine's too high. Everybody's is too high, but, okay, yeah, they can come in and, yeah, I agree with that. They need to come in here.
Okay.
But I'd say we just treat them just like we've always treated them. Everybody agree with that? Everybody shaking their heads yes on that, so we just
Okay.
report and treat it like we normally would.
All right. The audit was completed on the 28th. As far as I know, it went smooth. There wasn't anything, no surprises except for one thing. They always seem to come up with something new every year, and this year it was that all of our contractors, is JR back there again?
Yes.
Okay. All of our contractors have to sign a form that affirms that they are equal opportunity employers. So I have a new form that our contractors, our vendors will have to fill out moving forward. But other than that, that was the only thing that they mentioned to me that we weren't doing, so.
Okay.
And then the next meeting is, so Memorial Day is on the 25th, so the next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 26th.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, do you hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report?
So moved.
Moved by Dara, second by David, all in favor? Approved. Okay, council comments. Dara? You have anything?
No.
Amanda?
All right.
David? Cale?
Nope.
Larry?
I won't be at the next council meeting. We're gonna be out of town.
Don't go out, don't go.
I heard a comment, when was that? A couple days ago.
That's what I was afraid of.
And I know when I've been in, on the sales tax, the new 9.5%, this one person said he's not been charged that at the grocery store. I know we were the couple times we've been in there. I think he just looked at it wrong. And the stuff I've got at True Value, I mean, and went to Lighthouse and got something. They're all charging 9.5, but you might just look at your ticket when you buy something and make sure that, I mean, they've got to start charging the 9.5, but he swears up and down that he went in one day and got some milk and he was charged the 9.5%, and the next day they went and got some coffee and wasn't charged the 9.5%. I think he just looked at it wrong. Because I would think once they're set up with their stuff down there, it's just automatically gonna do 9.5%. So, but you might just look at something that you buy and see on that. Okay, let's review bills on ordinance 1038 before we do the executive session.
Yeah.
See you, Lauren.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you.
Because you know how bad that is.
What?
You know how bad that is.
Don't question. Always have this right. Code book, what's that?
Anybody have any questions on any of the bills?
Not yet.
Come on, be the auditor, find something. I know I hid it well, you won't find it.
Lemon disinfectant.
Say needs liquor.
What's the cold mix?
Patch for
Patch.
street.
That's what I thought.
We've got,
Thanks for going around doing some of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sonic the
Our
Hedgehog.
street things too. I've
what's
heard,
that?
our street things too.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of comments.
Is our next movie Sonic?
No. I don't think they figured out what the next movie will be.
Do we have a payment for that?
$50.
Wasn't that one of the last movies?
I don't know, it's 5-1.
I thought it set up this advertising back in March, though. If you look at the bill to St. Francis Herald, I think the bill for,
Oh, yeah.
it was clear like
Fair
March
enough,
6th
yeah,
or something.
distribution. Yeah. Period.
Or maybe it was under the 15 fees.
Any questions on the bills? Do I hear a motion to approve the bills on ordinance 1038?
So moved.
Been moved by Amanda,
Second.
second by Larry. All in favor? Bills are approved. Okay. Larry, you gonna announce it? Your executive session, or is Amanda?
Amanda said she'd do it.
1 minute.
Well, yeah, 2 minutes.
I move we go into executive session for 2 minutes, resume at 8:52 with all those present to discuss non-elected personnel for possibility of a new hire.
Are we good, Lila?
Yeah, who was the second?
Gail?
Kale.
Okay, hold on just a second. You guys will have to come and get me when you're done. I'm gonna pause it here.
Lila?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is made by Kale, seconded by Larry. To everybody stand up. We will adjourn.
That was obnoxious.
Very weak.